to another episode of In Conversations with. Today, I am going to be joined by Samantha Budd. Hey, Sam.
Hi.
Good to have you here. And me, your host, Kiki Patty, as always. So guys, as you know, we are bringing you these In Conversations with series to inspire you to be the change that we want to see in the Black communities across the United Kingdom. So today, Sam will be inspiring us with her wisdom, with her experience, and hopefully you can take something away from Sam's own experience. So Sam, let me kick this off by asking you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Kiki, for having me. So let me tell you a bit about myself. So until recently, I was the Chief Executive at the University of Bristol Students' Union, where I was there for sort of 10 years. And I have I had a really fantastic time, really enjoyed it, but kind of got to that stage of my life and I thought, okay, what do I want to do next? And decided that I really wanted to kind of build on my professional experience, build on my lived experience really, and step into a consultancy role. So I'm now kind of working as an inclusion and cultural transformational consultant, really working with organisations, particularly with boards and with senior leaders and executives, to really kind of promote cultures of racial equity. So that's kind of what I'm doing, and alongside that, I've recently been asked to, and I've just started as the interim director for NUS UK. So NUS is the National Union of Students, and I'll be working for a year maternity cover, really helping students to really engage with their national governments to really ensure that the student voice and student issues are really at the heart of government thinking, and that's Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales, and England.
Yeah. Great, sounds fantastic.
That's what I'm doing now.
That sounds awesome. So Sam, tell us, what are the strategies that you have used during your career to navigate and overcome challenges or barriers to help you to meet and achieve your professional goals?
Right, so I knew you were going to ask this question, and I was kind of reflecting, and I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna probably share with you something personal, but I think it's really important to understand because, when we step into the workplace, we bring our whole selves. And I reflected really that for me, there was really something about turning negatives into positives. And I say this because when I was in my early 20s and I started on my career, particularly of management, I actually was an unmarried single parent of 2 children. And, a lot of people were kind of very much saying, stereotyping, well, that's it, you're doomed now. And that was kind of the outside society. This was 25, 30 years ago. But even my family, I'm sort of first generation, probably what it's like. Mum and dad, education is really important. I was really fortunate. I had a degree, I had ideas. And obviously me having babies in my 20s wasn't part of the plan. However, I think, there's something about me, and I think about a lot of people. I just kind of thought, you know what, I am not going to let people just determine who and what I'm going to be by a stereotype. And it kind of just got me. And maybe there's a bit of me that's like, if you say I can't, then I'm going to show you that I will. And I thought, right, yeah, no, bring it on. I'm going to prove to people that I'm not going to be defined by their definition of who I am. But also, a bit like, that expression, hunger is a rich source. I had 2 kids to feed. So actually, I didn't have time to start getting all kind of like, oh, can I, can't I? I just thought, I want them to have the best life. I want them to have a really good education. That's going to cost money. And I'm just going to hit my career, and I'm going to go for things sometimes that maybe I'm not even that ready for, because I've got to survive, And so that was kind of that bit I say about turning the negative into the positive. It was like, there was this kind of, I was fortunate, I had an education and everything, but this kind of, what could have really kind of drowned me, I thought, I'm going to use this energy and turn it into something positive. And I guess, so that was kind of my personal kind of driver. But I think, throughout my career, partly I've kind of learned that actually when things are negative, how can I draw that energy and turn it round? But I think it's also some of that, that stuff around, quite often, I think particularly as women, we kind of think, oh my God, I can't apply for that job until I'm 100% sure I can go for it. And, and I've seen loads of people, men often, going for jobs and they're literally 40% capable of it. And they just kind of go, what the hell, I'm going. I thought, I'm going to do that. And I remember someone saying to me, mirror people, mirror success. I think, well, I'm going to try that. If you don't go for it, you never know. So I think there is something for me, it was always about, always having a view of the horizon, view of what was coming next, what could come next. and then kind of creating opportunities to go for it. So I think, you know, those kind of tactics, and I think, you know, the obvious ones we talk about, you know, if we go on training course, whatever, it's about, you know, speaking with lots of different people, building your networks, you know, identifying what looks next for me, what are they doing, how are they behaving, could I do that? So I think it's, yeah, for me, it's really a lot of that kind of overcoming barriers is about seeing what's beyond the barrier. And then it becomes easier to work out how you're going to go over the barrier. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh, I think you've actually given us more than enough in just that short segment. Like, you've given us so much to go by, because first is your fighting spirit. It's just go for it. I love that about you. Like, I'm so inspired by your experience, by your journey. And actually, I think a lot of people will be inspired by that. It's just that go-getter. Just go and do it. That's amazing. That actually touched upon my next question, which is, you know, what advice would you give professionals, Black professionals out there who want to get into more senior roles? I think just build on what you've already said in terms of more like strategies that they can use to keep climbing the ladder to get into more senior management roles.
So I guess, yeah, you know, building on this idea about, you know, do I have to be 100% sure? Look, we know that quite often we get told, I was certainly told as a child, you know, you're going to have to be 110% better than your white counterparts, otherwise you can't get there. So there's something about that kind of drives you. Okay, so I've got to, I want to be 110%, but also sometimes that can hold you back because you're waiting until you could, you know, you've ticked all the boxes, and yes, we need to have the certificates, we need those things, that helps us. But actually also, I think, as I say, it's about that confidence piece, you know, particularly if you're going for a job that's the next step up. Quite often people go, yeah, but how can I haven't got the skills, so I can't go for it. But actually, quite often when you're going, it's about, yeah, being able to kind of maybe demonstrate your transferable skills. We get skills from all sorts of things. We have skills from our lives, from maybe the things we do in volunteering, but even the lives that we live. And I think quite often as Black people, we have built up a whole load of strengths and resiliences because of our experiences. So how do we draw on those and bring those to the table? So that when you're kind of having the conversations, you're having the interviews, it's about, yeah, demonstrating what you've practically done in that professional way, but also selling that other bit of who you are, you know, because leaders and managers and what have you, we're going up there, they are, it's them as well as their skills. It's how do they engage people? How do they build trust and confidence in people? And I think it's about just kind of building that confidence in yourself as well, and saying that it's okay. Sometimes you have to feel the fear and go for it anyway. Sometimes you've got to step into the unknown. And so I you know, for me, I think it's about that as well. It's about that, and you know, obviously those things around kind of the networks and not being afraid to sort of ask people and speak to people. Because one of the things that I've like realised in life, we all know, people love to talk about themselves. So if you go and ask somebody, you know, that managing director or that person who's doing that job, to tell me about your job, tell me how you got there, tell me, you're doing two things. You're kind of finding out, but also what you're probably doing is starting to build a connection with somebody who might be a supporter for you, because you've shown an interest in what they do, and they might be more likely then to support you, to help you to go the next step as well. So
wow, what, like, some just my mind blown. Like, you've said things in the way that I haven't heard them said before, and I just want to appreciate you for that. Thank you so much for that segment. Like, I am so inspired by that, and I know that our viewers will be too. So the next question I have for you is, what does the Black Professional Network mean to you? I mean, you've come so far in your career, but you're still a member of Black Professional Network. What does it mean to you?
Well, you know, I tell you what, something is, it doesn't matter how far you got in your career, you know, a big, I guess, an experience of mine, I've often been the only person who looks like me in spaces that I've been in. And then to be able to step into a space where I'm surrounded by people who are, you know, with so much skills and experience and passion, that's like a real, it feels like home. It feels like a safe, nice place to be, where you can just be yourself. You can kind of maybe let go of some of that kind of the mask that you have to put on when you're out there. So for me, it's a real feeling of safety and home, a feeling of you know, people that I can feel I can trust to be, like, you know, be my true self, and they'll understand who and what I am and where I'm coming from. And you know what, the other thing I really like about Black Professional Network is any of the events that I've been to, I know even the ones that are online, it's fun. It's fun. You know, networking doesn't have to be this scary thing. It's fun. You meet nice people. You know, some of the things that you've done on the online things, getting people engaged. You know, we laugh. every time I've been to an event, I always come out with a smile, and I just see people smiling, and that's really important to me.
Fun is a huge part of what we do at BPN. And you're right, networking shouldn't be this stiff thing where it's like, oh, I've got to talk to people. No, we're just human beings. Let's have fun.
Exactly.
So that's fantastic. All right, Sam, now I want to get into, what is your favorite quote?
Right. Well, again, I had a bit of thinking about that, and my favorite quote used to be, "You never get a second chance to make a first impression," and I kind of, I don't know, that kind of really got me, and it made me kind of really think about, when I was kind of stepping into spaces, what is the impression I'm making, what have you. But interestingly, I suppose, as we started to get a bit more nuanced in the whole conversation around race and how people are judged, I kind of started thinking, well, actually that's a bit problematic to a certain extent, because actually we need to give people second chances, and we shouldn't just be making snap decisions about how people are perceived. But nevertheless, there are things that we can control, the way we present ourselves, the way we look around, and if there's the dress code or whatever. I personally think that's an easy win. Why go make it more difficult for yourself if there are things that you can do that can help build up your confidence through that impression piece. So I guess that was one. But the other one I think that is, I'm being a bit naughty because I'm taking two here, but the other one that I think is really important as well is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Planning is really important. Having a sense of your direction, sense of what you want, looking at those. And I think if you've got that direction, you can then work back and you can build up the little steps. So rather than something being this kind of insurmountable thing, you put a plan in and you take small steps, and then you can achieve. So for me, the whole thing around planning, I've always liked that expression, really.
That's a beautiful quote. I love that one. And now we're just going to go a bit more personal and fun. Coming up to our last question. So imagine that I am shipping you off to a desert island. And
quite good, actually.
You would love that.
Is it warm? Is there warm sea? Because I'm there.
That's the only question. Is it warm? So I'm shipping you off to a desert island, and you're only allowed to take 3 items with you. What 3 items will you take, and why?
So one of the kind of my bog standard ones, I'm quite practical, I'd probably have a Swiss Army knife. Very useful, be able to cut things down and what have you, important. Then the next thing that'd be really important to me personally is a big cook pot, a big cooking pot, because food is my passion. And so is foraging. I have a thing about free food. I love it. I love going out and getting berries and mushrooms. I've got them in my little mushroom book and whatever, wild garlic and everything, and then cooking something up and going, oh my God, this was free. I got this from the land. This is marvelous. So in a way, I mean, I know I'm hoping that I could be able to identify some of these things on this desert island. Otherwise it could be a bit dangerous. But I'd be out there foraging, and actually I probably would get one of my nature books. That would be my third thing, so that I wasn't not taking too many risks when I'm trying to kind of cook up these things. And I think with my pot I'd be able to cook, which would be good. And then also, if there's no running water on this island, I'm overthinking this, I know, but I would then have my pot. When the rain comes in, I've got fresh water to drink, I've got my book so I can cook myself up some delicious food, and I've got my Swiss Army knife, so I've got the tools. So that's what I would do. I mean,
that is so practical. I love it. I feel like you've thought this through. I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. And guys, that's a wrap from Sam here. I hope you've been inspired by Sam's story. And as always, we will continue to bring you these In Conversations series. Sam, thank you for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you very much, Kiki. Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll see you at the next session. Take care.